Welcome, folks, to a Monday morning college hoop show here with the three-man weave college basketball show hosted by SBR. That's right, we are back for another week of hoops. We can taste March. It is only a week away. Whew. Guys, I'm getting excited. I can't contain it. Ky, Matt, it's good to have you boys here. Before I get a takeaway from you, though, let's shout out our friends at SBR, the sbrpicks.com/NCAAB page. Lots of great resources there. Make sure you head over to that. Find their write-ups, find added picks. If we're not giving you enough, they've got more there, so make sure to check that out. Also, like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/SBR Sports. Lots going on their channel. They've got NFL offseason news. They've got an NBA show. That's right, they have an NBA show. Head over there for that. All right, guys, let's take a look back at the weekend real quick. Ky, what did you see? Anything stand out for you?
Yeah, we got to talk Michigan, Ohio State, guys. The game of the weekend, one of the best games of the year. Just awesome all around. Pretty much lived up to expectations. Both teams scored 1.3 points per possession or higher. Offense was flying, 22 for 45 from three combined. Just back and forth, heavyweight battle. Awesome to watch. Both teams clearly have the makings of a deep tournament run. Matt, I'm more so a believer in Michigan. Maybe that's an obvious take, but
I agree.
All the pieces just fit so well together. It's a team that is full of puzzle pieces, and it makes a gorgeous jigsaw puzzle, Matt, when put all together.
It really has, Ky, and the puzzle maker himself, Mr. Jawan Howard, Phil Martelli, the staff there has molded those pieces perfectly. They're just so well connected. The offensive flow is awesome to watch. I'm with you. I think Michigan is a very slight cut above Ohio State. I think their performance, especially down the stretch, validated that. However, another team that's in that second class right behind the big boys of Gonzaga and Baylor, Houston, getting Fabian White back, and he made a monster impact in not his debut. He had played the game prior very sparingly, but really came out and showed well in emphatic fashion. My question for both of you is, do you see a scenario in which we're talking about Michigan or Houston potentially barging into that big boy roundtable of Gonzaga and Baylor?
No, I really don't.
I don't
People
either.
are talking about Michigan, but
I don't either.
I think they're awesome, clear number 3, but I don't think they're quite there.
I think people badly want to have that conversation, but
I know.
Yeah, Baylor's been off, so
it.
it's easy to lose track of how good they've been, and Gonzaga's been playing in the WCC, so it's also easy to forget just how dominant they are and how great they were to start the season. I love Michigan, think they're awesome, but they barely won yesterday. They were down 9 at halftime to a bad Wisconsin team right now, so maybe not bad, but let's just pump the brakes. They went to overtime with Oakland. They lost by 15 at Minnesota. They're not in that tier, as much as it'd be fun if they were.
Mr. Playtime making a bold declaration. Michigan will win the tournament. I'm going to write that down. So you will be exposed, Mr. Playtime. That's not come to fruition. We're sort of holding chat mobsters accountable for their takes. That's my new duty as chat czar.
It's a new deal. My quick takeaway, guys, the bubble bad this weekend. What are you doing, bubble teams? St. John's lost at home. Seton Hall lost at home. Minnesota lost at home. Indiana, not great. Stanford, bad loss. Mississippi, bad loss at home. I mean, it's just like a lot of teams right near that cut line not doing themselves any favors. So we'll see if that changes in the future. But a little concerning right now. Good for teams like potentially Drake, a team we'll be discussing later. All right, let's launch into the outline, guys. Let's start talking games. We got a gift from the Pac-12 here. Oregon at USC. This was supposed to be Stanford at USC, but the Pac-12 shuffled things around. I like that conferences are doing this. I think the A10 has done this a little bit, just trying to put the best matchups possible. And honestly, it's conducive to the league too. We don't want USC or we don't want to, especially in the A10, the teams have to risk a bad loss. So square them off against good teams. So now we've got this battle atop the league. Two very strong squads here, Oregon and USC, both shaky on Saturday though. USC lost at home to Arizona. Oregon barely got by a shorthanded Utah team. Ky, where are we at on this West Coast battle?
Yeah, we've kind of been hesitant all year buying into the USC hype, guys, right? They've been garnering a lot of buzz lately. They got up to 11th in KenPom, so even analytics were singing USC's praises. And they faltered against Arizona. That was a game we were all over on Saturday. Played out actually a little differently than we expected. We didn't expect Arizona to win outright. But USC, guys, they lack quality wins. 3 Q1 wins, 3 Q2 wins. That's it. Their best win is a neutral against BYU. They've kind of been fortunate in their Pac-12 scheduling to this point.
Yeah.
And Oregon's a team that's just been going the other direction. I know they kind of barely beat Utah, Jim, like you talked about, but fully healthy now. Eric Williams back. Analytics haven't caught up to Oregon yet, in our opinion. I really do like them +4 here against USC, Matt, tonight.
Yeah, I'll go as far as to add it as an official show play at +4.
Me too.
As will I.
A consensus weave edition to start off. Man, what a great way to kick off the week, guys. Nice job. Here's some concerns, though, so we get my devil's advocate probe in here. We saw a couple other incidents in the past when these Pac-12 teams have had to fill in the typical Thursday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday scheduled trip that they've always done for, since the dawn of time, right? The Arizona trip, the Colorado trip, the mountain trip. But in this case, you have a Thursday, Saturday, and then now sort of a offshoot trip that Oregon has to make down to LA to play an awesome USC team on a Monday. We saw Oregon State go to Arizona and get trounced in this spot, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. Just one anecdote off the top of my head that does give me a little bit of pause. I'm not all the way confident that we get an awesome Oregon effort, but the value is absolutely there, right? We talked about how undervalued Oregon is right now, and they're catching a team who I think is one of the most overvalued teams in the Pac-12 and USC. So you juxtapose those two things next to each other. I like the Ducks.
Love it, Matt. I'm right with you. I agree. I just think these teams are basically even at the top of the league. I think this is how I analyze the UNC Duke game, Matt. This is a coin flip. If you're going to give me 4 points in a coin flip, I'm going to take them. Yep. All right, let's move on. Let's go to the Big 12. Texas Tech at Oklahoma State. Man, this is a big one. Texas Tech is kind of up against it right now. They've lost 2 in a row. Maybe not playing that great for Chris Beard's team. Oklahoma State could be without Isaac Likely in this one. But this opened Texas Tech -1, and it's all the way up to 3.5. People are on the Red Raiders here. Ky, I'm going to go to you again here. Are you riding with the steam? Do you think it's going in the right direction?
I kind of lean the other way now at +3, +3.5. Crucial conference game for both teams. They're both kind of around 500, trying to get over that. Texas Tech would fall to 6 and 7 if they lose this one. Not a good look for a resume perspective. 2 tough games, obviously. West Virginia, Kansas, back-to-back. That's tough for any team, including Texas Tech. And I think they have the right defense to beat Oklahoma State, right? They're going to force the Pokes to being jump shooters, something Oklahoma State doesn't prefer. They have the lowest three-point attempt rate in the league. They can certainly hit shots, but not their comfort zone. On the other end, Matt, I'm just kind of worried about how Texas Tech does with Oklahoma State's length on the perimeter. Mac McClung has been awesome this year, but Oklahoma State's guards truly are athletic. They're long. They're tough to get by. So at +3, +3.5, I'm actually leaning towards OSU, even though I'm thinking Texas Tech wins the game in a close one.
Yeah, I liked Texas Tech on the opener, but now I'm almost inclined to go the other direction here. I made this line 2.5, depending on what I decide home court ultimately is. But yeah, first matchup, highway robbery. Oklahoma State stole this one on Texas Tech's floor. It's just something you don't really see happen to a Chris Beard team. I guess one of a couple incidents where the Red Raiders have squandered a late lead with some poor execution down the stretch. I think there's some revenge potentially in the Red Raiders' minds tonight, but I don't know. No strong, feel motivational-wise on either side here to make it a play, and the numbers still hover around 3.5, I think, per SPRoddspage.com. So unless it gets up to 4, 4.5, 5, I'm not going to comment here on the Pokes.
Yeah, my gut was very hard Texas Tech on this one, and so even with the number going up to where potentially a play for Oklahoma State, I'm not going to go against my gut until the number is really screaming it. So yeah, like you said, man, until it hits 4, 4.5, I'm probably going to stay away here. Ky, I love the way you broke down the matchup. Texas Tech's transition defense also pretty solid, usually very good under Chris Beard. That's big against the Cowboys. So all right, let's move on. Syracuse at Duke. Oh boy, guys, a week ago, I don't think we thought this would be such a massive bubble game. But man, there is a high leverage on this game. Per Bart Torvik, the winner is probably 55% or more to make the tournament. The loser under 30%. So this is a massive swing game for both of these teams. I can't believe we're saying this with Duke at this point, but man, Matt, it's open -5. It's held steady there. Not a lot of movement on this line. However, the total's been bet down. So, people think this will be a little bit more of a tighter game. That did surprise me. Where do you see this one?
Yeah, I was just looking at the prior matchups. I think the last 2 have gone mid-70s in the possession count, so that would bode well for the over, sort of going against what the early money is showing. I was just on the Syracuse over against Notre Dame, and that was more of a zone v zone matchup. I'm less confident in Duke's ability to solve the zone. However, they do have what we would think would be an ultimate X factor zone buster at Matthew Hurt, right? You stick him at the high post, You can have him swing the baseline, a guy that really bends the defense to wherever he is on the floor. The question is, does Coach K utilize him appropriately as such, Ky? I think if he does, I think Duke probably has a little bit of value here. I made this -6, but I'm not looking to get in the way of this Syracuse momentum, especially after that comeback win against Notre Dame over the weekend.
It kind of feels weird Duke's back in the tournament conversation, and they absolutely are. After that win against Virginia, I mean, the resume is pretty much bubble resume right now. 3 straight winners. Guys, 5-0 without Jalen Johnson, 6-0 if you count the game that he just played 6 or 8 minutes. So clearly something is probably to that. Like Jim said, Syracuse on the bubble, they need a quality win. They have like 0 good wins this season, or at least great wins. And they almost got just destroyed by Notre Dame in the last game. That was yikes town for a while. They had a furious second half comeback. I lean Duke in this game personally. They've shot the ball actually very well this year. We gave them crap at the beginning of the season for their shooting. They're 37% in conference play, actually number 2 offense in the ACC, and they can rebound. 4th best offensive rebounding team. Those 2 factors, of course, the keys against the 2-3. I lean Duke here, Jim, regrettingly.
Matt, I have a question for you before we move on here, because Hurt, I agree, is probably the guy most suited to play that high post spot, to be the distributor, but he's by far their best 3-point shooter too.
Right.
And so if he's in there, that negates that. He's shooting 49% in conference play from deep. That's a big reason why, Ky, that 3-point percentage is where it is. Yeah. And so if he's not able to play on the perimeter, that really hurts. So, hurts. Didn't even do that on purpose.
Yeah, you did.
Jeff.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
I didn't. I swear. I don't know. I'm curious to see.
Major concerns. I think they should not play. I think Goldwire's minutes will decline. I think he'll probably play less, Wendell more, and you got to play more of the other guards and the guys that can actually make shots. Hopefully Joey Baker comes out of his, he kind of comes and goes as he pleases, but this is definitely a matchup where he needs to knock down shots.
Yep. Syracuse also, Ky, you mentioned they almost got run out by Notre Dame. They played much better when they applied pressure. It was like it woke them up. Yeah. They had to be more engaged defensively. And I think you can pressure this Duke team a little bit. Their young guards are prone to turnovers. So
very prone to turn, yes.
I would expect to see that maybe sometime in the second half if Syracuse is struggling. Okay, I have too many thoughts on a Syracuse-Duke game. Let's move on. Let's go to the West Coast. Pepperdine at St. Mary's. Man, weird spot for these 2 teams. They're both pretty solid, but they don't really have any chance at net large, and they have basically, it seems like, no chance of beating Gonzaga. So it's tough to find a motivational edge here, maybe standings in the West Coast, but even that, Matt, we know is a really bizarre formula that Ken Pom has done. So they don't know exactly what the impact of winning this game would be. There's certainly some revenge possibility here. Pepperdine was up 13 late, nearly blew it, and St. Mary's came back, tied it before Pepperdine won by 2. So perhaps the Gales are going to get a little comeback edge here. Matt, though, where are you leaning here? Are you going to go with Randy Bennett against Lorenzo Romar in this coaching mismatch?
Oh, I mean, it sounds a lot more appetizing than going with Lorenzo Romar versus Randy Bennett. But, hey, we were on the waves. We got real wavy in this last matchup. I think that was a consensus we played. But that game played closer to Pepperdine -3, -4. I think we made it somewhere around there. They almost squandered at the end, but they did cover. I'm just confused why the line is flipped all the way back now to +5. I mean, I guess if the odds makers thought they had a good line in the first game, now they're going to give 2.5 points for home, just flip-flop. I'm just not buying that. I know one concern to mention here is Pepperdine was without Ky Chukua, pronunciation check, please, chat mob, last game. Did get Daryl Polk back, a key reserve guard. That's my only slight concern, but other than that, I think this line's way too high. I will be on Pepperdine.
Here's what I'll say, Matt. They might have been giving St. Mary's a little bit of a knock for coming out of a shutdown last game.
Coming out of shutdown, very fair.
Their first game out of shutdown. So
that's true.
Yeah, St. Mary's, guys, this stat, right? You can certainly cherry pick any stat you want, but haven't won a game since January 23rd. How about that narrative? Just played 2 since then, Gonzaga and Pepperdine. So can't fault them too much. But gross offense on both sides in that first matchup. Gales won the tempo battle. If you want to put any stock in that, Pepperdine obviously wants to get out in transition. Gales want to slow it down. This one played under 70 possessions in the first game, but that leaned towards the dog, in my opinion. This does feel like too many points if we're going to get another game controlled by St. Mary's from a tempo perspective. The coaching mismatch is enormous. It's the only reason St. Mary's is actually competent this year, right? Because the talent, Pepperdine has way more of that. Ross and Edwards are the best 2 players on the floor. But at 5.5 points, I have to lean towards the Waves, Jim.
Yeah, I made this right about what it is. I got no lean here, so I'm not brave enough to back Romar against Randy Bennett a second time, especially after the first one almost ended in abject disaster late.
Exactly.
All right,
Scary.
we'll keep trucking. Let's head to a little chat mob break. Matt, you're my czar. Before we do, make sure to like like the video, guys. We're gonna hit your chat questions here. Help us out by liking the video on YouTube. That is huge for us. All right, Matt, what do we got?
We're going right to the extra board, Jim, to start us off here. Ken Ray asking about Jackson State Grambling. I know you've been a Tiger boy. I mean, we're all Wayne Brent stans, one of the better coaches among the lone major landscape. My number actually leans Grambling, but just given how impressive I think Jackson State's been, I ignored it. I'm staying away. Any takes here for you?
Well, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with Tristan Jarrett. This is Jackson State's first game since he left the court and spiked his jersey on the ground. So there is a chance he is like suspended for the first half or something, because Brent said they're dealing with it in-house. We don't know exactly what that means, but it has been bet up a little bit. I would certainly lean Grambling on the number right now too, but I'm just going to stay away. I'm not really sure what we're going to get here.
I expected to be on Jackson with what I made it, and then I looked up and nope, odds makers were even higher on Jackson State than I was. So stay away from me.
I hate when they're good at their jobs. It's so annoying.
I know.
Bastards. All right, Jim, I'll go right back to you here. Mr. Jack Falk with a flurry of requests. I know you have a take on UNC Greensboro. The Spartans have been kind of Jekyll and Hyde, but they're definitely playing better than they were to start the year. Big number to cover on the road at Western Carolina, but the Catamounts have been non-competitive this season. So I think it sounds like you're just looking to keep attacking them.
Mostly, yes. And we don't know Mason Faulkner's status. That is enormous. The starting point guard for Western Carolina has missed 2 straight due to family reasons. And that's especially impactful in this game because UNC Greensboro will pressure you. Ball pressure with Isaiah Miller. If there's no Faulkner, then they could force a ton of turnovers and run away with this. This is the odd little back-to-back, though, where they're playing Monday and Wednesday, switching venues. So that kind of throws me off. That plus the Faulkner uncertainty, not something I'm going to recommend on the show here.
Ky, I'm going to you for another one of Jack Falk's flurry of questions here. Presbyterian, Charleston Southern. I think we all have the same consensus lean, but you appear to be more confident based on what you made this. Which way are you leaning here?
I'm not confident in it. Why would you be confident in Charleston Southern at all this season? And Presbyterian has shown they can win your games, like randomly show up and be awesome. I liked it at the opener. It's come down too far for me. I still lean towards Charleston Southern, but yeah, nothing strong there. They've been kind of a disaster of a team this year.
Yeah, last game of the regular season, I think, for these two, or is that pending a few more reschedules? I think the Big South is one of those that's decided to go or end it short and
they both play when, or at least Charleston Southern plays Wednesday against Upstate. So
I think that actually might be Presbyterian's last game of the year. But again, just something to try to keep an eye on. The schedule is starting to get weird down the stretch, folks. Got to keep an eye on those. One more here, or a couple more, I should say. Arkansas State. The team's been on fire. They are catching.
Matt, that will be on our outline. It is
replacing the outline.
It's replacing a game that got canceled. So, folks, we will hit that shortly after Chat Mob.
Another one here, Southern Illinois, Valpo. I have no take on this game whatsoever. These kind of middle to low end of the Missouri Valley spectrum have been tough to pinpoint, especially when you just take away their games versus the elites versus like-minded teams. Ky, what's your take?
Well, yesterday I was on Southern Illinois. They were up 5 at half, and they should have covered, and they did not. They ended up losing by 1, actually, outright to Valpo. Spreads come down 2 points since then. Interesting. Valpo won the first game, and they are now that's not interesting. That makes a lot of sense. No, you know what? What was the spread yesterday? 1? Now it's 2?
I think
spread's about the same. Excuse me, my flubber there. I still lean Southern Illinois in this game, but yesterday was kind of disappointing.
Marcus Domask is for sure out again, I believe, today.
Yeah, no, Domaski's out for this both the games in the series. I'm staying away. Made it right about what it is. I think I made it 2. But it does feel like it would flip just because neither of these teams is really much better than the other. I don't think they have a huge matchup edge. So maybe the slight motivational edge is the play.
Here's what I'm actually really surprised by the early money, or maybe I shouldn't be given Lamar's recent efforts. Sam Houston State on the road. Opened at -8.5. It's out to -10.5, -11 at some places. Ky, I know you're the Southland guy on this within this organization here. Do you see any fight in the Cardinal tonight?
I would not take Lamar. Does the numbers high? My number probably leans their way, but that scares me. Sam Houston State's one of those South End teams that can blow worse teams out, and Lamar certainly fit the criteria for being a worse team this year.
Yeah, Matt, I made my number for this game, and I was like, I guarantee the market bets this up. And I was like, so I could try to get in early before this team, but I didn't want to. I don't know. Lamar's, I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, they've had a lot of injuries this year. This has been really one of the most disappointing seasons tick prices had. I still think they're better than how they're priced, but the problem is that Quinlan Bennett, I think, is out tonight. They've really missed his services. I'll probably take it for a peanut because I think that line's just insanely high, but definitely no reason to go crazy on a team that could be broken. Scrolling through the latest batch of questions here.
Matt, they're going to hang you if you don't get
Liberty.
Yeah.
Liberty, yes. Liberty. Ky, any thoughts on Liberty playing North Alabama? I feel like this odds makers have had a ton of respect for Liberty this year. I can't catch up with their rating.
Spread feels really, really high, but Liberty has the ability to cover it. I'm staying fully away of this game.
Yeah, this got hammered up. Open 12, it's 14.5. Even I think there's maybe a 15 out there. I would lean North Alabama on a number, but yeah, I don't really have the appetite to fade Liberty right now.
All right, let's get one more here. John Castro asking about UT Arlington versus Louisiana. Kyle, go to you here. Tell the folks why they should not do what me and you chose to do today.
Betting on UT Arlington this year has been a losing endeavor. They should not be this bad of a team, but they've been hurt. Best player's been hurt for a long time, David Azor. It feels like too many points, though. Louisiana, Matt, hasn't been great lately either, and they've been hurt as well. So it's a lean for me to UT Arlington.
Yeah, I like the under a little bit here. I just think Arlington unders are still undervalued with the introduction of KO into the lineup, and then Louisiana is down their point guard, Brian Ayu. So I think there's a little bit of struggling to create quality shots in this one.
Yeah, Jim, your boy only 3 blocks yesterday in 27 minutes. I think it's like his season low, but still obviously a massive shot.
I bet he only had 2 points.
Let's see. He had 2 points, 5 rebounds.
He always has more blocks than points. That's his go-to thing.
Oh, I love that. Know your role all-stars are have a near and dear place in my heart. Okay, Jim, back to you.
All right, let's head on back to the outline. VMI at Furman. In the SoCon, guys, I can't believe how relevant this game is to the SoCon race. VMI's been great, but they've been great mostly at home. 9-0 against the spread at home, only 4-6-1 on the road like they are here. Furman's been a little bit better at home, 5-3, tend to play usually well as a favorite. They've also covered, I think it's something like 16 of the last 18 against VMI, which sounds crazy, but it actually is. But recently, VMI started to get back a little bit. This could be a high-scoring game if VMI's style plays up and Furman runs with them. Matt, are you riding with Dan Earl and the Keydets here as an underdog?
Yeah, I'm considering going against the early steam. It's up to, like you said, 11, 10.5 right now in most places. So I made this closer to 8.5, 9. I finally gave VMI the respect they deserve. I mean, what's their – at some point you have to tip your cap to all they've done from start to finish. You can't really find many bad games on their resume. Obviously, the loss on the weekend, over the weekend to the Citadel, I think you can excuse that. Old coach comes to town, gets his revenge. Duggar Balcom, longtime head honcho at VMI before taking over the Citadel job. It's an interesting matchup here against Furman, Ky. I think Dan Earl's smart enough to not overextend his pressure and let Furman, go tic-tac-toe and break the press against him. But they do play a fast tempo, so any number that you're looking at around 8 to 12 will play to a little bit higher, just given the number of possessions. Gives me a little bit of pause wanting to take VMI, but I think there's value at 8 or at the current number at 10.5, 11.
Well, see, I agree with all your guys' points, but game one was weird. It's 66 possessions. It didn't make any sense to me. VMI won that first game outright. To Jim's point, though, they were at home. VMI's been a lot better at home. You saw them against Citadel on the road lose outright in that game. And Furman is finally playing more towards the Furman we expected in the preseason. Just killed Western Carolina, Samford, and Mercer by 10. They did split the series with Greensboro before that, but one of those games was a 19-point victory. So I think this Furman team is starting to play like they should be all season long. And the one thing with VMI, though, can you stop them from shooting? In the first game, they were 44% from three. They got to the free throw line with ease. That's the question, because Furman's going to score at will. They did in the first game. They're going to again in this one, especially at home. Are you confident that VMI is going to miss shots? I'm more confident on the road in that one, but not enough to put my money on Furman here. So I lean towards the Paladins, Jim, their effort to get to first place in the league, but no official play.
Yeah, I'm with you. Lean towards the Paladins. I just don't love VMI on the road, but not quite enough to back it, and especially at the current number. Maybe at the opener, but at the current number, it's a stay away.
Jim, I got to quote David Bernal in the chat, referencing a stat that you used to love to cite. Bob Ritchie as a favorite. Usually a pretty money bet. He's 51-34 current day. I think that adds up with my tally as well. So certainly fading Furman as a favorite.
I don't know if that's been the case this year.
This year, I think there has been some buyback on that. That's a good point.
Not been as strong, yeah. All right, we'll keep rolling down the outline here. As mentioned, Oregon State at Utah is postponed. This game is not being played, so we are replacing it with this Sun Belt battle that we've seen in the chat. Texas State at Arkansas State, fellas. Texas State is in first in the Sun Belt. This team could win the Sun Belt after losing Danny Casper in the offseason, going to an interim coach in Terrence Johnson. They've been playing super slow, and all they do is make threes. They're seventh nationally in three-point percentage. They're just under 42% in conference play. They are absolutely lights out from downtown. That's huge. That makes a team very, very dangerous. Kyle, I'll go to you here, though. Are you backing them as a short road favorite today, or are you maybe leaning towards the physical Red Wolves at home?
Yeah, Jim, this Sun Belt scheduling is so weird. So Texas State, yeah, they're first place, but they've avoided Georgia Southern, Georgia State, South Alabama, Coastal Carolina, all teams that they could lose to quite easily. They've been a little fortunate with this scheduling, getting broken teams and worse teams in this conference. But hey, tip your cap to Terrence Johnson. He's done a good job filling in for Casper.
Yes.
This is the 23rd oldest team in the country. They're top 50 in continuity. They lost two of their best players from last year, but still brought a lot back this season. So not like super surprising they're competitive, but first place was not in my expectation. Arkansas State's won 4 straight. They've been playing great lately. I just don't see, Matt, them being able to stop Texas State. They're the worst defense in the league. That worries me. And Texas State's defense is very stifling, can definitely put up a fight against what has been the Sun Belt's best offense in Arkansas State.
I apologize if you guys mentioned this and I was not paying attention. I was trying to do research on injury statuses of Marlon Davis and Shelby Adams. Shelby Adams is a full-time starter, really good defender for Texas State. Marlon Davis was their quasi-point guard. He's not the last 3. They've sort of shifted that role to a few other folks on a by-committee basis. Yet they still continue to win and cover spreads because, as Ky mentioned, their schedule has been awfully favorable. I think now they're finally playing a team at Arkansas State that's trending upward, that's healthy, that's playing closer to where we thought they would preseason. Ky, I know you were very high on the Red Wolves. I like Arkansas State at the current number. I'm inclined to keep weighting them, hoping that Texas State takes some more money, and I'll hop in maybe at 4. But right now, I'm still on the sidelines, Jim.
Yep, sitting this one out. I kind of wanted to take Arkansas State too, but 3 is a very appropriate number for this matchup, I think. I will leave it alone. Total's been bet down a little bit, but that makes sense for the tempo that they play at. Possible 3-point regression on both ends for Texas State. So, yep. Staying away here. Let's go to the Valley, guys. Let's wrap up with one of the darlings of the country in terms of against the spread performances. Evansville at Drake. Drake, oh man. People do love the Bulldogs. They covered yesterday against Evansville. Really dominated that game. Got up by 24 at one point in the second half. However, potentially lost Roman Penn, their key point guard. Yep. He limped off the court in pain yesterday. That adds basically their 2 best players now with Hemphill already out. It's tough, man. I would lean towards Evansville here with Todd Licklider's second game adjustments and just no Penn really might submarine that offense. Matt, is that the way you're leaning as well?
I'm kind of torn here, Jim. I was just looking at the Penn specifics with the injury. It sounds like we'll get an update sometime this morning. I wonder if that goes public. I think if Penn is out, Evansville's a fantastic play. Notorious Todd Licklider, the pace will be low 60s, if not high 50s. He has no appetite to get into track meet with a better, more talented team in the Bulldogs. The question is, can Evansville make shots? I mean, the recipe for Evansville covers, Ky, is very simple. They play a slow game. They limit number of possessions. They make enough threes to hang around, and they can squeeze inside these large numbers. So I like the situation and getting Evansville as a large dog. But I would need to be 100% sure that Penn's out because Penn's such a weapon and he can carve up that defense if he's in there.
Yeah. A comment about Penn not mattering. Drake was up by 31 points in this game. Penn went out and the game ended 14 points. He's absolutely crucial to this team, especially with Hemphill out. Now, Yusefu had 32 points in his stead, so
yeah, he
Greg
went
certainly
bananas.
They still have talent on this roster to fill in. But both those guys out, double-digit spread. First game, Matt, 61 possessions, like you said, low possession game. Also, Darnell Brody playing 9 minutes, scoring 8 points. Apparently he just didn't play because everyone was playing well, but I mean, my God, like you're playing him for 9 minutes. I was thinking he might have been hurt as well. I don't think that's the case, but maybe just keep an eye on that roster rotation there, lineup rotation. I do lean towards Evansville, but I need to see Penn out of the lineup to be certain on that one.
Yeah, this was just a wildly efficient game yesterday. The teams shot 68 and 74% inside the arc. It was just getting easy buckets inside both defenses. Drake scored 1.4 points per possession. It's 8 turnovers and made 11 threes. If you make more threes than you have turnovers, you're going to have a very efficient game. So that's concerning. I saw Walk ask about the under. I don't have a strong enough take on that just because of how strong the efficiency was. I would think the tempo will be there for you, but not entirely sure on efficiency. Yeah, it's definitely an Evansville lean for me, but not going to take anything official on the show until we know for sure what Roman Penn's status is. So I will leave it alone. Let's get to best bets, guys. Matt, we're starting with you. None of us have put in a bet yet, I think, except we're all on Oregon. That is what we've got so far. So, Matt, hit the people with your best bet here.
I'm keeping it tight again today, Jim. Only best bet I think has been asked about 100 times so far in the chat, and I'm sorry, folks, for playing possum with you there. But yes, Eastern Kentucky is the one we've not talked about so far, and that is where my best bet lies. EKU off a drubbing last game. It just feels like an obvious bounce back spot, revenge. They should bat SEMO around like a piñata today. I just don't see 2 straight bad efforts from EKU. This line is way too short. I am on the Colonels, Ky. -4.
I'm leaning your way, Matt.
4.5. Yeah, 5 is where I drew my line in the sand. So I like 4, but 4.5 is what I'll take.
SEMO's last. Who did SEMO just kill? P. And that was
Eastern Kentucky. They just killed them.
Sorry. Yeah. Yikes. Okay. I'm going with Moorhead as my best bet, guys. -11 pre-show. It might have come up a little bit. No,
there's even a 10.5 out there, Ky.
All right, so SIU's getting bet. I don't understand that. First of all, it's the 16th game in like 29 days for SIUE. We've seen this schedule start to catch up with them. They've been blown out 4 straight games. Also, the guys who play for them is a mystery now. Sid Wilson sits out like every other game. He was out last game. Carter Collins is out. So I think scheduling's caught up with them. The blowouts have caught out with them. And the roster uncertainty against a Moorhead team that's the best defensive team in this league. I think they're going to crockpot SIUE, keep them from scoring, slowly build a lead, end up winning this one by over 11 points.
I just want to interject real quick. Sorry, Jim. I watched the SIUE Austin P game. There was during a timeout, one of SIUE starting guards went off and had like a temper tantrum. There was like a clear internal rift going on within the players. SIUE just reeks of a team that's over the season, that's sick of each other. They've been on the bus playing these back-to-backs for 2 weeks now. I think you just continue to fade them.
I'd say one other angle, too. SIUE won the first matchup here. Moorhead definitely.
True. Great point. That. Motivational. Yes.
Yep. I'm going to add Moorhead with you, too, Ky.
I'm in. All right. I'm convinced. Yes.
Do it.
Me too.
This isn't, this might not be one where Moorhead gets up 20 immediately just because their offense isn't as explosive as some of the other big guns in the OVC. But, yeah, the defense should suffocate SIUE, and especially if Sid Wilson's out. So let's ride, Ky. All right, my best bet, guys, I'm going to the SoCon. Taking Mercer at home against the Citadel. We mentioned the home road splits on VMI earlier. The Citadel is very similar. They are much better against the number at home. They just knocked off VMI in a huge emotional win. Duger Baucom beating his old school VMI. That mattered quite a bit to them. Now they go on the road against a team that can really score. The total is just under 160, so there's going to be a lot of points in this one. That sets up well for a potential blowout. Mercer, they make me nervous a little bit sometimes. They can be on and off even within a game. They have a switch flip, but they did win this game on the road by 20, so they're capable of blowing out the Citadel, and I think they do that again today. So I will take Mercer -8.
All right, is it time to mob and weave?
Yeah, we're running. We're running long, baby.
There's not many games left, so I'll go right to extra land here. SWAC. I know both of you actually disagree with me. Ky, Alabama A&M, Alcorn State, being asked about by Andrew Carr. Why do you like Bama A&M here?
Because they're the better team.
Okay.
And Alcorn State has
No further
talent, but
questions, Joe.
they've been terrible this year. Alabama A&M is a big lean for me.
Yeah, Matt, I think Alcorn has been a lot worse than you think
Yep,
they
I
have.
know.
You want them to be
I do.
good, but
I do. I like the idea of
there.
good Alcorn, but it just hasn't been there.
Yeah,
No
and
question.
I buy Alabama A&M. This young talent's been very solid.
I'm trying to find another one. There has not been many specific questions. What other games have we just not hit on the board anywhere?
Alabama State Southern question just came in from Cameron Wisnowski.
I
liked Southern, but over 11, I'm out. I think it's 11.5 now.
Yep,
yeah,
same.
Southern, too many injuries for me to take. I know they have depth, but it's sort of a mystery box as to who plays for them. That's it, I think, guys. Jim, sign us off here.
All right, we'll do. Thank you, everybody, for coming by today, checking out the show. Please do hit that like button on your way out if you haven't yet. That is great for the channel and for us, so we appreciate that. Make sure to subscribe as well. Lots of great shows going up on the SBR Sports Picks YouTube channel, whether it's NBA or Premier League or really anything you're looking to bet on. They've got a show for you. And then also make sure to check out sbrpicks.com/NCAAB, the URL conveniently plastered atop the page here. Head over there. There's a lot more resources in terms of college basketball. We've got a lot more coming as the season goes along, guys. March is on the horizon. We're looking forward to it. But we'll see you tomorrow on Tuesday, same time, same place. We'll see you then, Chat Mob. Good luck.